Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to this new podcast YouTube show called Get to Know. This is your weekly show on seeking knowledge. It's all about seeking knowledge, okay? The objective of this show is just to get you guys to seek knowledge. That's literally all it is. And to give you advices on how to go about that journey, to help motivate you, to help inspire you, or whatever else it is, right?
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh yeah, I forgot to introduce.
You have to introduce me. I just want to say salam.
This is brother Saad. In Arabic you would say Sa'ad, but in Urdu you say Saad. And that's
not Saad, the letter.
yeah.
Just
But the Arabs, they get confused because Saad is a letter in the Arabic language. It's actually funny because when he was young, me and my siblings were all excited in it because we like most of us, we have names in the Quran. Like Imran is a name in the Quran. There's a whole surah after Imran. And I got another sister, and her name, there's a whole surah named after her name as well. And then he was like, for time, he was like, but there's no surah called Sa'ad or Saad, you know, because we're Pakistanis, we say Saad. And then one day he came across Surah to Saad with the letter Saad, and he was happy, he was excited. And then later on we found out that's not your name. That's just a letter. Sa'ad is your name.
I went for it for a long time, and it worked. It worked.
Amongst the Pakistanis, they were like, oh yeah, his name is Quran. Anyway, sorry, we're digressing. Knowledge. Beneficial stuff, inshallah ta'ala.
Beneficial, no.
So today's topic of discussion is going to be on the various subjects, okay?
Okay.
Because Islamic studies is not a subject on its own. You know, like some people might have studied like Islam as a course in college. Like for example, A levels, Islam was a subject for me. Someone might study Islamic studies as a course like in uni. But Islam is not a subject. Islam is not like science. It's not like biology. It's not like chemistry. It's not like physics. It's not like psychology. Rather, it's something under which many subjects fall. Like science. Science, under it falls physics. Under it falls chemistry. Under it falls biology. Under it falls mathematics. You have to have an understanding of maths to a degree. You know, there are various different subjects that fall under science. The same way there's Islamic studies, and under it falls many different subjects. From these subjects are Arabic grammar. From these subjects are the science of hadith. There's actually studying hadith. There's actually fiqh, aqidah, usul fiqh, whatever have you. So, you know, we want to kind of give you guys an introduction to these sciences, because someone who wants to start seeking knowledge, you know, okay, you've got so many classes that are being taught in your local community, or up and down the city, up and down the country, online. There's so many classes. So you're like, well, which one do I do? You might be doing a class that you find interesting and fun, and that's good, but it might not be something that's a priority for you because you need to study something else right now. So inshallah, this should basically, you know, give you an understanding of the way the different sciences connect together, the way the different subjects connect together. So you want to start, inshallah?
I think you should start.
Okay.
You're older.
Okay.
Jibreel came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and told him to give precedence to the elders.
Okay, so I'm older. I'll happily take that, inshallah ta'ala.
Sunnah, let the sunnah go forth.
Wait, cut that out, put it on. Inshallah. Okay, good. So, actually cut that out, yeah? That's good. Let's go forth. Okay. So, so this is the starting point, okay?
Good.
Knowledge, when you look at all of the different sciences and all of the different subjects, all the different ulum, all the different knowledges within Islamic studies, they divide into two categories. We have that which is called ulum al-maqasid. This is basically the subjects that are the objective, and I'll explain to you what that means in a second. Then you have another category which is subjects that are not the objective, but they are the tools, they are the means, they are the keys to get to that objective. So the objective is like a door. That's really what you want to be studying. Really, the reason you're seeking knowledge is because of this. You want this. That's the door. But you can't open that door without a key. So then you've got a whole bunch of other subjects that you need to study. Each one of them is a key to unlock the door. Like you've got a very valuable door. It's got padlocks. It's got different hooks, keys, chains, whatever have you. And each science, each subject, which is from the ulum and wasa'il, from the instrumental knowledges, from the key knowledge, it will open up parts of that door. So what are the subjects that are the objectives? What are the subjects that are the door? The Quran. To actually study the tafsir. To study the book of Allah, the meanings and the words. That's a door. That door requires keys, and we'll talk to you about what those keys are in a second. There is hadith. You actually want to study Al-Bukhari. You want to study the hadith of the Prophet. You want to study the wording. When the Prophet said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ what does that mean? What can I take from that? What can I understand from that? There's also another subject which is called the Aqidah. Aqidah is basically the study of the creed, the belief. Okay, you've got books that actually explain to you, this is what Ahlul Sunnah believe, this is what the belief that will get you to Jannah. Tawheed, which is the most important thing that you want to study from the Quran, from the Hadith, which is also a subject on its own. What did Allah say about Himself? How to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, so on and so forth. These are all subjects that are the goal. These are all the doors. These doors cannot be acquired, cannot be opened without certain keys. Do you want to give us an insight onto what those are?
Before we go into that, you said something powerful. You said, so for example, issues pertaining to Aqidah and Tawheed, okay? These are all maqasid.
Yeah.
Okay?
Manhaj.
Manhaj. I can't get to that except with tools. But what about if a person says, okay, I have the book Aqidat al-Wasatiyya by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, and I can read it. I'm good.
Well, that's the thing. Now, if you're reading in the Arabic language, then no doubt you have what? You have the language, which is a tool.
Okay.
If you're reading in English, then you're not really reading Aqidat al-Wasatiyya. You're reading what someone thought about Aqidat al-Wasatiyya, and so much is lost in translation.
Okay, what if
even then, Aqidat al-Wasatiyya is, even though it's a basic book in Aqidah, but to us it's actually an advanced book, which means there were previous knowledges that you have needed to understand before you understand that. I mean, honestly, you pick out any random young brother or sister and you give them Aqidah al-Wasatiyya, like for example, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen's explanation of it in the English translation, wallahi they won't understand it, even the English translation, because it requires some things.
So if a person says, "Akhi, fair enough," you're saying there's ulum which are wasail, which are a means, and then the science which are maqasid. But I can read Aqidat al-Wasatiyya in the Arabic language, and I've never studied any of the wasail. And we're going to say to this person, you don't realize how much you actually don't understand from the book. Because there's so much prerequisite knowledge which you should have had, which would have allowed you to unlock the treasures which are within this book. Otherwise, you're going to come across certain words that Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah uses, and you might not understand what he means because he's added a specific meaning to this word, and etc.
Because remember, words have different meanings in different times. And so the Arabic language today is not the same as it was back then.
Good. And also, for example, just technical terms which might be used. For example, using the word sahih when it comes to the science of hadith has a specific meaning in comparison to if I say sahih when it comes to sarf, which is the morphology of the Arabic language. So the istilahat, the terminologies of the words, they change as well. So you do have to know the wasail.
You do have to. And to be honest, this is how people become misguided. This is why people misunderstand Ibn Taymiyyah a lot. This is why you find people who support ISIS who are quoting Ibn Taymiyyah, because they went to Ibn Taymiyyah's books without understanding the usul al-fiqh, without understanding the language, without understanding the grammar, without understanding these things, and they misunderstood what he was saying because of that. People understand Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. They take Nawaqid al-Islam, which is literally the most basic book that you would study in Aqidah. This is the first book that you study when you go to Medina University, or in Masjid Nabawi, for example, the first thing on the program of the Matun Talab al-Ilm is the first thing, it's the most basic thing that kids are taught. It's literally like, if I was to write it out on a page of A4 paper, it would probably be just one page of A4 paper. Maybe even less than that. That's how short the book is, But people who support ISIS and whatnot, they're quoting his book, Nawaqid al-Islam, from one of the nullifiers of Islam. And it's, why are they doing that? Because they went to the book without any prerequisite knowledge. They also went to the book without a teacher that was actually explaining it for them and helping them understand that. So you can't. But so then coming back to the main point. So if we understand that these are the doors, the Quran, Hadith, Aqidah, Fiqh, Tawheed, Manhaj, these are the doors of knowledge that we want to actually, these are the objectives, this is the whole reason I'm seeking knowledge is because of this. What is the tools, what are the keys, what are the instruments that I need to unlock those doors?
Good. So there are a numerous amounts of tools that we need, that a person needs in order to understand the objective knowledge. Let's start with one of the most important ones, and that is the Arabic language. We have to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent the Quran in the Arabic language. The hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to us in the Arabic language. If I'm a foreigner, if I want to understand my religion, I can't do that unless I study the Arabic language first. This is why some of the ulama, they said that it's fard, it's obligatory on every single individual that they learn the Arabic language. Because in order for you to understand your religion, you need to know the language, because the Quran and the Sunnah, which is our source of knowledge, where we take our knowledge from, it comes in the Arabic language.
Science.
Now the Arabic language, its sciences are different. Okay,
So within it, there's 12.
within
right?
it, there's 12. Okay, but from the main ones that a person needs to learn, it's for example learning an-nahu, which is grammar. Okay, learning the Arabic grammar. Then you learn sarf. Okay, which is morphology.
The construction of
The
words.
construction of words. Just an example in the English language is like if you take the word law, okay, by adding and changing certain things within the word, the meaning changes. If I lawful, unlawful, you know, just by adding like prefixes and suffixes.
Yeah.
Yes. My uni
Prefixes, sorry, at the beginning of the word, suffix at the...
days, at the end, yeah.
Or is it the other way around?
I didn't complete my degree, so I'm not sure. But the point being, adding those things is what changes the meaning of words. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what sarf deals with. For example, you have the word kitab, right? I can do so many changes to the word and I can make different meanings. Kitab, kitabatan, I can say yaktubu,
kataba,
uktub,
katabat.
kataba. All of these words, maktub, maktaba, all of these words come from the root letter kataba. So that's what sarf deals with, because if you want to learn the language, you got to know that. You know, you have to understand that. And the last thing that you do is al-balagha, okay, which is rhetoric, which is basically eloquence in speech. How to say a sentence with small amount of words but with lots of meanings. Okay?
So basically, like the Quran, you know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, you know the miracle, the inimitability of the Quran, the inability for anyone to be able to replicate even a single ayah or a single surah like the Quran is because of the eloquence.
No.
Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says things in a way that is just like, wow. Like how did in 2-3 words Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put so much meaning. In one word sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put so much meaning that whatever that you understand from balagh. Right?
Good. And that can also be applied to the speech of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam.
Sahih.
Because he was given what?
Jawami al-kalim.
Jawami al-kalim. Right?
And that's really what, you know, like now you see how the science is linked. Like 40 hadith Imam Nawawi is a book of hadith, 40 hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Why did Imam Nawawi put these hadith together? Because he wanted to take the Jawami al-kalim. He wanted to take the statements of the Prophet ﷺ that were small in construction but large in meaning. Small in construction but large in meaning. For example, he's got hadith in there that are literally like da' ma yaribuk ila ma la yaribuk.
Or even for example, قُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ.
Literally, that's all the whole hadith.
That's it.
And
And pages are written on these.
Pages.
To show to us that in such small words that the Prophet constructed, but the ma'na, the meaning in here is just
so much.
It's just mind blowing.
So when you study balagha, you'll be able to go into that a bit more. There's also a fourth science of the Arabic language, which is not like you're not gonna die without it, but it's gonna make your Arabic stronger, which is adab.
It's adab, right?
Arabic literature, basically.
Arabic literature. But I would differ, okay, because I did hold an opinion for a long time. Okay, this is where disputes come about. Okay, I don't agree with you that it's something minor anymore.
Yeah, I also agree it's major.
No.
I'm just
the
saying,
camera heard you say it first.
Well, I was only quoting Ustad. Okay, look.
No, Ustad never said that.
No, Ustad said the 3 most important subjects are Nahu, Sarf, and Balagh. Okay? But then after looking at it, I'm like,
I tell you what changed.
Literature's pretty important too.
I'll tell you what changed my opinion, right? And it was a statement by Imam al-Shafi'i, okay? Because if anyone knows Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was a hujjah, a proof when it came to Arabic language. You know, sometimes, you know, if certain scholars, they might use an Arabic term, their proof would be قال الشافعي, that Shafi'i said that word. The fact that he used the word shows that it's a word which can be used in the Arabic language. And why? That's because Imam Shafi'i, he read a lot, he memorized a lot of Arabic poetry, a lot of literature he read into. And so one day he was asked, you know, why do you memorize all these poetry? Why do you do that? And he said, I do it so that I can serve fiqh, so that I can serve Islamic jurisprudence, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because learning the language, it opens the door of understanding rules and ahkam within the Sharia, you know. And when I heard that statement, and then I realized Imam al-Shafi'i has a whole madhab behind him, you know, a whole, you say school of thought?
Yeah, school
of thought, right? School of thought. For me, that's just mind-blowing, you know, and that truly just shows the importance of learning adab, you know, and learning poetry. And
so can I just mention like what adab is, like, because you kind of just said it. We said it's literature, right? Adab is this is the adab of the language.
What adab means manners?
Okay, so there's adab in terms of the khuluq, the akhlaq, the nafs, and it's adab in terms of lugha. Lugha is the language. Adab in terms of manners is a different subject on its own. But adab, when you talk about it in terms of language, adab lughawi, this is Arabic literature. Now, what is this? This is basically the pre-Islamic poetries. Like, you know how they used to have the poetry hung in the Kaaba, the mu'allaqat. The reason why that's studied
before the Prophet
time. Everything that was before the Prophet's time. After his time, no. Because if you really want to understand the language, remember the language gets changed over years. How do you know what this word means? If you try to come to the same word in the Arabic language today, it meant something else. 100 years ago and 200 years before, that meant something else. And 1400 years ago at the time of the Prophet, it meant something else. Right? So that is preserved. So by studying those poetries, you really understand what Allah was saying when he was saying this word. You really understand what the Prophet was saying when he said this word. And that's the way the language gets preserved. And a lot of people who come and they attack the Quran and say, oh, it doesn't make sense, or words are used wrong, is because they're coming from an angle of understanding the modern meanings of the word, and they're superimposing upon the classical meanings. That's when you study really fusha, the stuff. But actually, I don't want to spend too much time on Arabic, because that's just one of the keys.
But you can tell I like Arabic language.
By the way, we'll mention more to you at the end, but if you guys want to study more Arabic language, on the Knowledge College, we actually have a course. The Knowledge College is an Islamic Studies Institute that we teach online, where we go through these different sciences, and basically Arabic grammar is taught there, and the course is called the Arabic Code. Okay, and he's the one who teaches it. So inshallah, you can go to the link below, sign up to the Knowledge College, log on, and then you can go and check out the Arabic Code course and start studying Arabic and the other sciences. But inshallah.
Okay, the next thing is studying hadith. Okay, now there's a particular science known as mustalahul hadith, okay, which means the science of hadith. And what this focuses on is looking at the chain of narrations, right, of a hadith, in order to know whether they are authentic or not, and how they reached us. Okay, so for example, all of the narrations about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they come to us with a chain. Yeah. Okay, I want to know this statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is it authentic or not?
Yeah, did he say it?
Right? Did he say it? Did he do it? Did he affirm this? We want to know that. In order to know that, we have to look at the chain in which this hadith came to us. We look at the chain. You look at the people who are in the chain. Did they meet one another? Are all of them reliable? Do all of them are they precise with their memorization, etc. And all these things that get looked into. But once that's certified, then we would know whether the hadith is authentic, it's a sahih hadith, or if it's a weak hadith. Now, there is a lot more than just that to it, but in summary, that's what you study. Yeah,
you're basically studying the authenticity of the hadith, just, to kind of dumb it down. Why it's important, like you said, this is why people become misguided. People become misguided either for one of two reasons, yeah. When it comes to evidences, there's other reasons, but when it comes to the evidence, why did they become misguided? For one or two reasons. Number one, that they are implementing an evidence that's weak, or they've misunderstood the evidence.
And that's where usul
al-fiqh comes in. We'll talk about usul al-fiqh next, inshallah. But usul al-fiqh is basically studying the meaning of the word and how do you understand what this ayah is and how do you understand what this hadith is saying. So some people bring to, for example, hadith like the Prophet he fasted on a Monday. Because he was born on a Monday, and then therefore that is proof that you can now celebrate the Prophet's birthday, and that's way off. Because if anyone studies usul al-fiqh, they will come to the conclusion that this hadith is talking about fasting, and that's it. And the dalatul alfad, the indication of the words in the hadith, they show that to you. But a person won't know that unless they study that science. Do you see where I'm coming from? And then there's other people who actually bring you a hadith where the Prophet apparently did celebrate his birthday. They might even bring you a hadith where the Prophet cut his own cake and blew out candles. But the thing is that hadith is weak. So these two sciences, they deal with these problems. One is that people are implementing a hadith that's weak, that has no basis. Its authenticity is weak, or it's even fabricated. It's a clear-cut lie. Or they have an authentic hadith, but what do they have? They've got a problem in terms of how they derive an understanding. So many people go wrong because of this. ISIS, when you look at them, they went wrong because of this one. They don't have weak hadith for them necessarily, but they misunderstand, right? They misunderstand. You've got all the Sufis, they got weak hadith and all of that. Like, it's a big problem. So you need to study this.
You know what's powerful there? Is now we just mentioned two different sciences. Yeah. You got Mustalah al-Hadith, the science for hadith, and you got Usul al-Fiqh, right? Looking at how to extract rulings from evidences. And you see how the two overlap.
Yeah.
Because when you come with an evidence Now you have to extract rulings from it.
Sahih.
They both are needed, and this is where people went wrong, like you mentioned. Ahlul Bid'ah, the people of innovation, that's where they went wrong.
And the Arabic language, studying grammar and whatnot, is very linked to usul al-fiqh because why?
One of the chapters
because
fiqh.
because usul al-fiqh is what the word indicates. The meaning. Does it indicate a command? If it's a command, is it an obligatory command? Is it obligation, or is it recommended? Is it like sunnah? Is it a prohibition? Is it a prohibition like it's haram, or is it a prohibition like it's makruh, is disliked? That all is within the parameters of what? Of the Arabic language. Do you understand? So all those are linked. And remember, you want to study the Quran, you're not going to understand it if you don't have usul fiqh. You're not going to be able to understand the verses in the Quran if you're not able to authenticate the hadith that explain the ayah in the Quran.
Exactly.
So you see, all of this wallah is linked. And there are other sciences as well that are keys. For example, qawaid al-fiqhiyah. And qawaid al-fiqhiyah is basically a science where you learn principles. Okay? Remember, when you have one principle, many issues can fall underneath that one principle.
Okay.
Right? For example, the principle al-umuru bi maqasidiha. The actions are in accordance to their intentions.
Yeah.
That Imam Shafi'i said, rahimahullah, enters 70 different chapters of fiqh. 70. We're both ill. We've been coughing in every video because we recorded this all in one day. And all the day we recorded it. Yeah, we are. So 70 chapters of fiqh, yeah? So now imagine, when you learn that one principle, how much that's going to save your life. When you want to study fiqh, when you want to study tahara, when you want to study nikah, Islamic finance, that one principle is going to basically bring so many matters together for you. Do you understand? Another principle, for example, is دفع المفسدة أولى من جلب المصالح. That pushing away an evil takes precedence over bringing a harm. Right? Sorry, pushing away an evil takes precedence over bringing good. So if you've got two situations where one is going to be, an evil is going to occur, and one is that a good is going to occur, then what you do is you take the one that's going to push away the evil. So, do you see what I'm saying? I'll give you a practical example of that. People go out there and they'll give da'wah, and they'll go give da'wah outside a club. So now there's a harm, there's an evil, or there's a good at play. The good is that you're going to give da'wah to people, and you're going to guide them towards Islam. Sure. The harm is that you might end up in the club. Or you might, women are dressed very provocatively, very inappropriately outside a club. There's music, there's alcohol, there's a lot of filth, right? I mean, enough to say that the women are dressed inappropriately. That's gonna finish you, right? So you went there to help them, but in the end, they took you. Do you understand? So when you've got these two harms, right? When you've got these two harms, even if you're a person who doesn't get affected by the evil and the fitna of the women or whatever have you, who are dressed in that way, then the scholars said that this principle will take place, that you push away the harm, and that is more important, and that takes priority over bringing a good. So the good is giving them da'wah, but the harm is staying away from the fitna. Do you understand? And there's many situations that happens in. So now when you understand that one principle, you can apply that in so many factors of your life, so many chapters of fiqh, so many ayat of the Quran, so many hadith, you're going to be able to kind of do that. So that's a science in itself. Another science we just quickly explain is usul tafsir, right? Yeah,
usul tafsir is basically a science in which a person understands the ayats in the Quran, the ma'na behind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words. And there's a process of how we understand meanings in the Quran. For example, the first process that a person will do is you try to explain the Quran, an ayah from another ayah in the Quran. You do a tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran. And then secondly, if you can't find an ayah which explains another ayah, then you try to find a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you can't find that, then you try to find a statement of one of the companions. And then if you can't find that, then you go to the scholars and how they explain the ayat. And then if you can't find that, lastly, then you go to the Arabic language
and the customs
and the urf of the people. And that's like a process which is taken in order to understand the ayat in the Quran. And it's much more than that.
Each one of those goes into detail.
Yeah,
for example,
it's a lot.
For example, when you go to that statements of Sahaba, which Sahaba
can you take over others?
Yeah, can you take? Sometimes there's Sahaba who, on particular issues, you might not take it from them. For example, without going to, and even for this, science of hadith is needed.
Yeah,
because you got to say, okay, this Sahabi's statement explaining the ayah, is it authentic or is it weak? This student of the Sahabi explains the ayah, is it authentic or is it weak? You also need usul al-fiqh because you're gonna
look at the
indications, the general verse, specific verse, and the meanings that were in the verse.
It goes into a lot.
These sciences, brothers and sisters, sciences.
You got a minute left.
Yeah. Okay. I've got to wrap it up.
Yeah. Got a minute left.
These sciences are really the difference between a person who seeks knowledge and a person who doesn't. These sciences are the difference between a person who became misguided or didn't become misguided. Like I told you, people became misguided because they didn't know the meanings within the Quran or the hadith, or they didn't know if it was authentic. And literally all of the sciences come to aid that. There's also other sciences which I forgot to mention, for example, tajweed, learning how to recite the Quran properly, learning makharij, how to pronounce the words of the Quran properly. We forgot to mention that, but we need to give that importance as well, of course. But brothers and sisters, these sciences really and truly are the backbone. Are the backbone. So if you really want to seek knowledge, this is what you need to go and do. Study the language. Study the science of hadith. Study the science of how to authenticate hadith or weaken it. The science of usul al-fiqh. The science of the foundations of the meanings within the Quran and the fiqh and whatever have you. Study these sciences. The one that studied the least out of all three of these is the science of hadith. Science of hadith. Alhamdulillah, in the subcontinent, Pakistan, India, scholars, they hold this subject down. Allahumma barik. And the grammar, they hold it down where? In Somalia. Allahumma barik. Everyone's got a little thing, but we will all come together, inshallah. But I just want to end with a parting final advice, brothers and sisters, and that is this. If you're a person who's not got any knowledge, when I say any knowledge, meaning no substantial knowledge, no significant knowledge, should you spend all your time studying the science of hadith and you don't know tawheed? Should you spend all your time studying like the Arabic language and you don't even know how to pray salah? Brothers and sisters, what you should do, inshallah ta'ala, first and foremost, is that you get a good, grounded, foundational, substantial understanding of tawheed. Not just tawheed, also manhaj, which is the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ. Also aqidah. Manhaj, aqidah is your belief. Manhaj is the practical manifestation, actualization of that belief. And also fiqh, how to do tahara, how to do wudu, ghusl, how to clean yourself, how to purify yourself, salah, zakat, fasting, hajj. These are, you need to have this, in terms of the objectives, this is what you need to get first. And then once you got a good understanding, and you move it, add the Arabic language, with the add science of hadith, with the add this, with the add that. And then when you go back to studying aqidah, you go even deeper now. There's a certain level where you can understand, like imagine, like I said, I give you the analogy of a door, right? So the door has a peephole, right? You can look through the peephole. So you need to have enough knowledge that is looking through the peephole of tawheed, of aqidah, of fiqh. But if you really want to go through that door and get it deep, you need the keys, which is the language, the science of hadith, and whatever else, and whatever have you. So inshallah ta'ala, just as a recommendation, if you guys do want to start off studying and start off a syllabus that goes in the structure, and the Knowledge College is what that is. The Knowledge College is our Islamic Studies Institute that we have online. And we start off teaching you knowledge in that way. We start off with the foundational knowledge pertaining to tawheed, aqidah, also the foundational knowledge pertaining to fiqh, okay? And then inshallah ta'ala, once you understand tawheed strong, okay, I understand this, I can worship Allah, then we add in the other sciences. In fact, we haven't even got to them yet because we're still right now on teaching people the basics, right? Teaching them how to pray, and it's actually, you might think, oh, I know how to pray, I've studied. No, trust me, it goes deep. It goes deep, and you really will benefit, inshallah ta'ala. And then as we go on, and as we add on to that, then we'll add more sciences, we'll flavor it up, we'll add more toppings, we'll add more sources, different subjects, we'll go like that, inshallah ta'ala, and then we will become strong together, inshallah ta'ala, if we're sincere. So if you guys would like to study knowledge according to that syllabus, where you take a foundation of knowledge first, from what you need, the necessities, and then on top of it now you add the keys, and then on top of it then you study the doors, inshallah ta'ala, then inshallah ta'ala, hopefully Knowledge College is what seeks to do that. It seeks to do that. So go to the link below, inshallah ta'ala, register, sign up, and hopefully we see you on the other side. Till then, we see you next week on Get to Know. Because if you don't know, get to know. Also, let us know how you guys finding the series. Are you liking it? Is it good? Is it deep? Is it?
If there's any topics you guys want us to talk about, you can let us know as well.
In the comments.
Inshallah, barakallahu feek.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.